अब यो प्रश्न उत्तर दिनलाई धेरै तौर तरिकाले धेरै दृष्टिकोणबाट हामीले हेर्नुपर्छ.
In order to answer this question, we have to look at it from various angles and perspectives. First, in the Indian subcontinent, and when I say Indian subcontinent, I am referring to South Asia. There were two streams of spirituality since early on. One was the Vedic stream, which is called Vedic Brahmanism, and the other was the Shraman stream. There were many Shramans even during the time of the Buddha. The Vedic stream, according to anthropologists and historians, entered the present-day India through the Indus region around 2000 BCE. Then it slowly moved towards the Magad area. It was the Indo-Aryans who brought the Rig Veda along with them, which was actually still incomplete at that time. It was still being completed even after it came to India or to South Asia. And the other Vedas were also composed at a later time. Thus, the Rig Veda was common to the Persians as well.
र त्यो ऋग्वेद जुन पारसीहरूले मान्छन् जराथुस्त्रा र उहाँको धर्म जोरोस्ट्रियनिज्म.
In Zoroastrianism, founded by Zarathustra, Ahura Mazda is worshipped and their scriptural text is called Zend Avesta. The region of the Zoroastrians lies in the present-day Central Asia, in the northern part of Iran and the southern part of Central Asia. And the language of the Zend Avesta and of the Rig Veda are very similar, whereas the later Vedas differ from the Rig Veda. Also, the language that all the four Vedas are written in is not Sanskrit, but Chanda. It was called Chanda in the time of Bhagwan Buddha as well. That is why, in all the languages in which the Buddha's teachings have been memorized in, that is in Pali, Sanskrit, Prakrit or Paishachi, they all refer to the language of the Vedas as Chanda. Sanskrit was actually formulated after the Vedas. The grammar of what is called Sanskrit now and the grammar of the Vedas are different. So, the Indo-Aryans gradually proceeded inwards, whereas the Shramans were already there from before. The Shramans were already in the Magad area, in what was later called the Aryavarta region. In Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, small statues and relics of people in meditative posture have been found, indicating that the Shramans were there as well, and that also falls within the area of South Asia. And the Shramans still existed during the time of Bhagwan Buddha as well.
अब श्रमणको बारेमा भन्दाखेरि श्रमण के हो र वैदिक ब्राह्मण के हो?
Now, talking about the Shramans, who were the Shramans and who were Vedic Brahmins? When I say Brahmins, I am referring to Vedic Brahmins. Vedic Brahmins are those who perform Havan and Yagya or fire pujas or rituals, and those who regard that method as their religious path. They are Indo-Aryans, so they perform the fire pujas to appease the devas or gods such as Indra, Varun and others, with the intention of obtaining a good life. There are many kinds of fire pujas, such as Ashwamedh Yagya or horse offering, Gomedh Yagya or cow offering, and many more. And what are Shramans? They are those who, even before the arrival of the Rig Veda, asked questions such as, what is the truth? What happens after death? Is this all there is to life? And so on, and meditated on these questions. This tradition might even have existed for thousands of years before the arrival of the Rig Veda. And we find that many of the Vedic Brahmins or the Indo-Aryans once they came into the area, started following the Shraman tradition instead of the Vedic Brahmin tradition. We also find that this happened in later times as well, where these Brahmins adopted the Shraman tradition. Then, the Upanishads were composed, based on the interaction and exchanges with the Shramans, and they are called Uttar Mimamsa, which means that which comes later. Uttar meaning later, and Purva means before. Thus, Purva Mimamsa includes only the Vedas, whereas the Upanishads, etc., which came later and are called Vedanta, are Uttar Mimamsa. Thus, the practices of meditating, going into the jungles, going to mountains and such, are all Shraman practices. And in reality, if we investigate it in depth, Shiva and Vishnu are also devas or gods of the Shraman tradition. They were integrated into Vedic Brahmanism later. And actually, numerous verses can be found which state that if one even touches a Vaishnav or a Shaiva or a follower of Vishnu or Shiva, then one needs to purify oneself through ablutions by immersing oneself in water with one's clothes on. There are many verses like this which also assert that Buddhists, Shaivas and Vaishnavas are not Brahmins, that even if they know the Shadanga or the 6 limbs of the Vedas, they are not Brahmins. There are verses in Sanskrit such as Yadyapi Shadangavid, meaning even if they know the 6 limbs of the Vedas. But this was the time when integration between Shamanism and Brahmanism was occurring, and when Shiva and Vishnu were increasingly considered to be Ishvara, or the Supreme God, the Shraman, Vaishnav and Shaiva dharmas got integrated into Vedic dharma, and now they are amongst the largest traditions of Hindu dharma. But we can find statues from before the arrival of the Rig Veda of Shramans in meditative posture that resemble the statues of Shiva. Like I have said before, what is referred to as Shiva now is Rudra. That is, Rudra was transformed into Shiva. Rudra and Shiva do not share the same story. Their narratives do not match. They were just merged into one. Now let us move on to Shakya Muni, to Siddhartha Shakya Muni. He was a Shakya.
वाङ्मयमा सङ्कीर्ण योनय भनेछ। सङ्कीर्ण योनय भनेको मिक्स्ड जाति, हाम्रो जाति होइन।
In the Indo-Aryan literature, the Shakyas are called Sankirna Yonaya, meaning of mixed race, or not belonging to our race. Thus the Shakyas were Sankirna Yonaya. Buddha Dharma and the Jain Dharma were considered to be different from the Vedic tradition of the Indo-Aryan race of the Aryavarta region in which they had settled, even though the Shakyas were also in that region, just north of Magad, and there was a large number of Shramans in Magad as well. In the 1.1.2, 13th to 14th verse of the Manusmriti, a Hindu legal text, it is clearly stated that the Shakya and other races are not of the Indo-Aryan race. Not only that, but in 10.11.22, also of the Manusmriti, it is said that if one goes to visit someone of these races, one has to bathe afterwards in order to purify oneself. Thus, we can see from this that Shakya Muni was not a Vedic Aryan. The Shakyas were not from the Vedic tradition. Neither his father Sudhodan nor his mother Maya Devi were. They were of the Shraman tradition. This point is further strengthened by the fact of where Shakya Muni went after he left his home. Did he go to a Vedic Brahmin or Rishi, or did he go to a Shraman Guru? He went straight to Shraman Gurus. Even though they were of the Brahmin caste, they were Shraman Gurus and not Vedic Brahmin Gurus. Thus, he sought and chose Shraman Gurus and learned from them.
अलार कलाम र उद्रक रामपुत्र दुईटै ब्राह्मण थिए भने मानिन्छ र दुईटै जैन महावीरका चेलाहरू हुन् जो श्रमणै हो.
From Alar Kalam and Udrak Ramputra. Both were believed to be Brahmins and both were Jains. They were disciples of Mahavir, who himself was a Shraman. So the question arises as to why he went straight to them. Because the Buddha's family lineage itself was of the Shraman tradition, those who followed Shraman masters. Yes, at that time, people did respect both Shramans and Brahmins. In the Pali Tripitak, in the words of the Buddha himself, there are repeated instructions to make offerings to both Shramans and Brahmins. That is why Brahmins might also have gone to the palace of Sudodhan, and they might have received offerings as well. But, as per the Manusmriti, the Shakyas are not Indo-Aryans. They are outsiders, Sankirna Yonaya, meaning of mixed race, not of our race, a different race. This is the first point. Secondly, the fact that the Indo-Aryans did not consider the Shakya to be of their race signifies that they, the Shakyas, belonged to an ancient tradition that was already prevalent in India or in South Asia, in the Magad region. And what tradition was this? It was the Shraman tradition. In the Ambata Sutta of the Digha Nikaya of the Buddhist Theravadi Pali tradition, it is clearly indicated that the Brahmins were arrogant and did not behave well with Bhagavan Buddha because he belonged to a different race.
Ambata Sutta के देखाइन्छ भने शाक्यहरूले ती ब्राह्मणहरूलाई तल्लो मान्थे.
But the Ambata Sutta also shows that the Shakyas considered these Brahmins and the kings who followed the Brahmin tradition to be of a lower status than them. This point is illustrated through a story regarding King Prasenjit of Koshal, who became a follower of the Buddha, and his son Virudhak. Virudhak went to visit the kingdom of the Shakyas because he himself was a Buddhist and respected the Shakyas. He was also shown respect by the Shakyas while he was there because he was the son of a king of a kingdom greater than their own. As a mark of respect from his side, Virudhak asked to be given a daughter of the Shakyas in marriage. But this placed the Shakyas in a dilemma. So, this story shows that the Shakyas of that time considered even the great king of Koshal, who was of the Indo-Aryan race, a Kshatriya from that race, who had become a Buddhist, to be of a lower status than them. And they were faced with the dilemma of having to give them a daughter in marriage. So instead, they dressed up and adorned a servant girl and offered her to him, pretending that she was their daughter. And Virudhak married her and took her along with him. And many years later, when she came to visit her paternal home, he came along with her. At that time, Virudhak had already become the king. After a few days of their visit, when Virudhak was returning home in his chariot and had already proceeded quite a distance on his journey, he realized that he had forgotten something and returned to retrieve it. Upon returning, he saw that the people in Kapilvastu were cleaning and sprinkling water everywhere, in other words, performing purifications. Upon inquiring as to what had happened, if someone had died, the person he asked, not recognizing that he was King Virudhak, said, "Oh, don't you know? King Virudhak was here with the servant girl who had been married off to him. They have gone back now, so we are cleaning and purifying the place." Thus, this story shows that the Shakyas considered the Indo-Aryan Brahmins and Kshatriyas to be of a lower status than them. Bhagavan Buddha, of course, did not accept such things, because as a completely enlightened being, he did not subscribe to the caste system. But this story is to just highlight the fact that the Shakyas were Shramans and not followers of the Vedic Brahmins.
र अघि भने कि स्वयं शाक्य मुनि पनि आफै घर गृह त्याग गरेर अभिनिष्क्रमण गरेपछि सिधै श्रमण गुरुका पुगे.
And as said earlier, Shakyamuni himself, after his Abhinishkraman, that is when he renounced and left his home, he went straight to Shraman Gurus. It is an interesting point that during this time, there were many Shraman gurus. The gurus he went to learn from were Alar Kalam and Udrak Ramputra. Mahavir himself was also a Shraman. In addition, Puran Kashyap, Maskarin Goshal, Ajit Kesha Kambali, Pakut Katyayana, Sanjay Belatiputra were also all Shramans of that time. Actually, it was two disciples of Sanjay Belatiputra who became the two main disciples of the Buddha. They are called Agrashavaka, meaning two main disciples. Every Buddha has two main disciples. In fact, this is one of the rules. If someone is a Buddha, then he will have two main disciples called Agrashavakas. And for Shakyamuni, these were Shariputra and Maudgalyayan. Both of them were Brahmins, but they had gone to study with Sanjay Belatiputra, meaning they had moved towards Shamanism. Many Brahmins did this during this time period. So Bhagwan Buddha was not the only one who converted Brahmins to Shramans. Shariputra and Maudgalyayan both had already become disciples of Sanjay Belatiputra. Then Maudgalyayan met a disciple of the Buddha and had a conversation with him, which left him greatly impressed. And so he took Shariputra along with him as well to the Buddha. So we can see from all this that the Buddha was from the Shraman tradition. In addition, he has called himself a Shraman. He has repeatedly referred to himself as Shraman Gautama. His disciples have also repeatedly addressed him as Mahashraman, or the Great Shraman. Thus it is evident from all this as well that he was from the Shraman tradition. Now, for Buddhism to be a branch of Hinduism, it has to be of the Vedic tradition. Shakyamuni himself would have to be from the Vedic tradition, and the teachings that he gave should also be similar to the Vedic teachings, with maybe some things changed a little here and there, but generally bearing a good resemblance to it. But, as the Buddha himself has clearly stated, and I have repeated this many times, in the Dhammacakka Pavatana Sutta and the Nagara Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, he has said,
Pubbakehi sama sambuddhehi anuyato. पहिलेका सम्यक सम्बुद्धहरूले सिकाउनु भएको न कि वेदमा सिकाइएको.
Pubbakehi sama sambuddhehi anuyato. Meaning, I have found that which was taught by the Samyak Sambuddhas, or correctly and completely enlightened Buddhas of the past. He found this and not what was taught in the Vedas. He also said, An anusuttesu, meaning that which is not heard of now. But the Vedas were prevalent and heard of at that time. And the Buddhas of the past were Shramans as well. And they are not avatars or incarnations of Shakyamuni Buddha. Just like the monk Sumedha became Shakyamuni Buddha, in a similar way, Kashyap Buddha was also a specific person in the past and became a Samyak Sambuddha after practicing for 3 or 4 Asankhya Kalpas, or immeasurable eons. Any person can become a Buddha after practicing for 3 or 4 immeasurable eons of practicing the correct and proper path. So Buddhas are not incarnations of each other. Shakyamuni Buddha is not an incarnation of Kashyap Buddha. The future Buddha Maitreya is not an incarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha. Maitreya Buddha is a different continuum. Stating it in a simple way, he is a different person. Shakyamuni Buddha is a different person. In the same way, previous Buddhas such as Dipankara are distinct persons. All of them are of the Shraman tradition, and each teach Shraman Dharma. This is according to the words of Shakyamuni Buddha, although there is no historical evidence regarding them. Thus, there were Shramans in ancient times as well, which also signifies that Shramans were there before the arrival of Vedic Dharma in the Indian subcontinent, in Magadh and in the Ganges regions. In addition, the Manusmriti also considered the Shakyas to be a different caste. And it is stated there that if one comes into contact with them, then one has to bathe afterwards in order to purify oneself. Therefore, from these points, we can see that Shakyamuni was born a Shraman. Then he learned with Shraman gurus when he went seeking for the truth, and when he remained unsatisfied with what they taught, he went to Bodh Gaya and sat under the Bodhi tree. And based on the power of the practice he had done in the eons past, he brought forth the teachings of the Buddhas of the past in a complete way. Because it was brought forth in this way, it cannot in any way be a branch of Vedic Dharma. And not to mention of Hindu Dharma, because Hindu Dharma was formed later than Buddha Dharma. But Vedic Dharma is older than Shakyamuni Buddha. If we consider the Buddhas of the past as well, then we could say Buddhism is older than that. But according to historical norms, Rigveda is older than Shakyamuni Buddha. But he is not from that tradition. His family lineage is not of that tradition. His practice is not of that tradition, and his teachings are not of that tradition either. But the Hindu tradition came into being through the many evolutions of the Vedic tradition. Thus, it is Hindu Dharma which in reality has the imprints of Buddha Dharma, of the Jain Dharma, and of the other Shraman traditions.